But we are loading into the game. This is game 3 of a best of 3. It all comes down to this. Let me introduce the two players to you. In the top right position, we do have the green Zerg playing for Team Druids. It is Dax. And now his opponent in the lower left playing for mCon. It is the red Terran who just won and came back into this series with a mass marine play. We do have Optimus. So Cloud Kingdom's the map. What do we reckon we could be seeing?
You know, if we have not seen
It's unfortunate we haven't seen game 1.
Yeah,
game 1, because that's where you can deduce a lot of things they could be doing. But
that's true. But if we did not see the proxy 1111 the previous game, I would say this is the prime map to do it on. Just because, you know, if you pull that off, there's a lot less surface area at the natural. Then you can wall off with 3 barracks and take your expansion, take your gases, and, you know, we've seen this countless times. But as it is, I don't really have any idea what Optimus could be trying to go for here. I guess he will try to play standard after his sort of cheesy shenanigans worked last game, or maybe he will try to scare Dax into thinking that, hey, I'm doing something similar that I did the previous game that you lost to me. That's also a possibility and might throw Dax off and make him prepare for something that will never come.
It's certainly something that we're going to be looking out for. I feel, if I'm going for a blind prediction here, and you can't really predict what's going to happen at the 2-minute mark, but
yeah.
I can't help but feel that it's probably going to be a 1-Rax command center into Hellions with a Banshee follow-up, because this map is relatively good for mech because you can hold quite nicely using the high ground positions. It's just quite an effective strategy. You can take your third relatively quickly as a Terran, and due to that, it's a nice build. And once you get the fourth of a Zerg as well, that's a really big vulnerability just due to the high ground you can position your tanks on. And being a wide map, it's really difficult for Zerg players to spread the creep across all of it and to get a good idea of a mech army's movement. So that's just what I'm feeling, but I don't know what Optimus's playstyle is normally like, so he may not be a fan of mech.
I do not know either, but just for the sake of the argument, I'm going to say he's going to go bio. Now, I'm being a little bit trolly, but...
But you know what? This is good, because that means one of us is going to be right.
Yeah. And
which is always good.
That's always good, because then people can say, oh, these casters are good. They're always making the correct calls. One of them...
One of them is always right.
Yeah.
Good news, guys. Well...
it's like that trick with the numbers, you know, that magicians do sometimes.
Oh yeah,
where you have the circle and add
and
and subtract, and whatever you do, you're always going to end up with the same number.
That's what we're doing. Mind games. Custom mind games to the audience, just like we're always right. But yeah, what we've got coming out at the moment is we do just have, for the time being, a bunker actually coming in the third base, being of Dax. So that's going to be delaying that, should it be trying to come down. But it's a command center, it's a Rax. We've got the double gas down as well for the Terran. Meanwhile, for Dax, he's happily getting up his spawning form, getting up his drones, and there goes down the factory. So far, we could both still be right. But Hellions are going to be the first thing coming out.
They are, and there is still a place for one more building at the top of the ramp. I wonder what's going to come down there, if it's going to... So, I don't know, it looks to me as it should be a starport, like... Because why the hell would you move the barracks all the way back? Oh, it's another factory. Man, you were right.
Blue Flame. Well, I'm not quite right, because I did say that it was going to be a 1-Rax Hellion into Banshee play, but it's probably going to be Blue Flame Hellions now. So this is a strong build, as long as your opponent doesn't get roaches, which we saw from Game 2, the Dax was happy to do that.
I wonder, that bunker at the third, I've seen this... A couple more turns do this, sometimes, on certain maps, on Ohana as well, or maps like Belshir Vestige. But I wonder, why would you... I mean, the bunker is salvageable, of course, but wouldn't it make a little bit more sense to put some Marines in it? Because that way, when it gets discovered, you know, any lings or queens that approach, I mean, you are going to cause damage, and you are getting a ton of Hellions behind this, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's the trouble is then you're committing a lot of Marines, and you're already very low on Marines anyway. But as I thought, it's going to be a Blue Flame Hellion play, which is very, very strong. A Starport coming out as well, so we could see Blue Flame Hellion drops, which would be absolutely ace and fun to play with. But it's going to be tough times because obviously Dax for the moment, he's getting up his 1-1 melee upgrades as well as Zergling speed, but there is no sign of a Roach Warren yet, and that's what he desperately needs against this build.
There's no sign of a Roach Warren, but there is a sign of a lair, and now the Hellions will just try to catch these queens off guard. But the creep is all the way here. Maybe we'll get one. Oh, nice micro there, microing back those Hellions, and we'll actually get that queen. No, nice transfuse is going off. And look at this micro, only losing one Hellion. Did not kill the queen, but forced her to use the energy on something else that she would necessarily want to be using it on. The bunker will get. Whoa, did not get salvaged.
It doesn't get salvaged. There was too many speedlings there that were just like, you shall not have these minerals back. But the problem is Blue Flame is now complete. The first medevac on its way out. These Hellions now absolutely catastrophic against Zerglings. So what is going to happen? The Roach one is started, but I think it's too late. How much damage is Optimus going to be able to do here?
Well, if he runs by with these, then he may do quite a lot. But we also have a potential Zergling counterattack or a run-by into the main, and look at this, the wall on top of the ramp is not at all completed. If only Dax knew about this, but no, and oh my god, those Hellions make their way into the natural. The drones are lining into a nice line. Will the Hellions actually get at them?
That is... The Zerglings... oh, look, the Hellions are getting right between the gas and the minerals. That is exactly where you want to be. All of the Zerglings cleaned up, but most of the Hellions are now down. But how many workers were killed? 11 were killed. In terms of the lost tab, 800 more resources lost by Dax. But these Blue Flame Hellions have done their job. They forced a lot of Zerglings out. And by forcing a lot of Zerglings, we actually see that Optimus is now only... well, no, he is now on equal workers as his opponent. That, even though he didn't kill many, he delayed a lot from being produced. So that is precisely what you want to happen as a Terran player against Zerg.
Yeah, and Optimus is following this up beautifully, getting the third command center, getting the Thors out already in anticipation of the Muta play. And as we see, the Spire is just now finishing those 4 gases. All of that gas eventually... I have to guess will be dumped into Mutalisks, most probably, or maybe Dux just reconsidered. No, he is getting the +1 air attacks, so he is going to go into that air attack, but second Thor already in production, and Optimus is going heavy mech, so that's why I said you were correct. He is going to go mech on this map.
It's a good move to make. I like mech on this, but here comes in some Hellions towards the main base. There's nothing here to defend. Are units getting pulled back in time? They are just moving now, but quite a few drones could potentially go down here. The Spy has seen that, just reaffirms the fact that Optimus knows what's going on and is now utilizing this cliff area to drop the third and main back and forth all the time, and this is really frustrating as a Zerg player to try and deal with.
Wow, even that Viking getting 5 kills, some of those being drones. 18 drones killed so far. The economy is looking pretty even, 51 to 55. 10 more drones just about popped. But, you know, Optimus, he's doing the right thing. He's keeping the Zerg in his base, preoccupied with defending his mineral lines, defending his bases, slowing him down as much as possible, and meanwhile he's just building up that Thor count, building more factories, taking more bases, getting those upgrades. This is such a smart play by Optimus here.
Exactly, he's right where he wants to be. Even though there are some Mutas on their way across now, there's already the 2 Thors out. The third one has just popped, and as such, those Mutas are not going to have a nice time pushing into this. The Viking even there as well will give a little bit of extra help. But Dax is trying to take his 4th base, but it's getting dropped by these Hellions, which are getting cleaned up now by these Roaches. So finally an end to the Blue Flame harassment. But still, the worker count 71 to 58. The third base now secured for Optimus, though. He's got those 3 mules. That levels things out quite a lot. And as we can see for Dax, he's only just getting his infestation pit now.
Yeah. So basically, there is no way to deal with those. Oh, wait a minute. This medevac might get caught out in the open. Another 4 Hellions in a medevac just going down there. Nice job. And Optimus, is he really going to move out this early? I think
this is a really early move out point.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, it's really risky. But at the same time, maybe he wants to prevent the Zerg from getting that Mutaflog to too high of numbers. But now the Mutas are trying to do some magic in the main. But there are Vikings, there are missile turrets. It's completely defending, and Optimus is just going to knock out this 4th base of Doug's.
No, I think he should take out this 4th base and then actually pull back because he's done enough damage. Those mutants just flying straight into the Thors. Oh my goodness. That was nearly a lot of Thors going down there, but pulling back would be the wise move here because obviously the roach count is starting to get higher. But the thing Dax is missing is any of the missile attack upgrades. He's got 2-2 melee and armor, but no missile attack, which you desperately need against Thors. Against a lot of Thors, you want a lot of roaches, and you want those roaches to be hitting as hard as they can. So this is where Dax could be running into some problems, but he looks like he's going for a counterattack for the time being.
And Optimus sees it. He sees exactly where the army is gathering. He's moving back. He will be in position to defend. And yeah, this is a little bit of an odd mix. Some mutas, predominantly roaches. Roaches are good, but he needs those infestors. And I wouldn't mind seeing Neural Parasite actually trying to be used. I know it's very difficult to use versus a Thor army with those Hellions, because those infestors, pretty much might get roasted before they get any neurals off, but if you manage to neural most of the Thors, or at least some of them, it creates such an advantage for you and completely flips the battle around.
I agree with you. And Optimus's push was really important because knocking out that 4th base just means that he kept Dax on equal bases. He's forced Dax to double expand, but Optimus, he's taken his own 4th and now getting up a 5th command center. He has got so many potential bases. He's got a nice defensive position, and Mech always has and always will be strongest in the late game when you get up a sizable force. My only concern is just how low the tank count is. Makes you a little bit vulnerable to a lot of roaches. So we'll see how that plays out, but for the moment, Optimus moving across the map. He does have the +2 vehicle armor. That's up against what is soon to be the 3-2 melee upgrades for Dax.
And we have Adrenal Glands on the way as well. Now, if he manages to take out most of these Hellions, those Zerglings are going to be super effective, but not yet. Not yet, and time is an essence that Dux does not have a lot of. Only a couple of tanks to protect versus those Zerglings and Roaches, but predominantly Thors. Thors are very, very beefy. I'm a little bit surprised that there are no SCVs with this push to repair those Thors. A lot of infested Terran balls coming down, neutralizing those tanks. And will those Thors actually go down? I think some of them might be left standing.
No, they're all gonna die. That was a brilliant engagement for Dax there, who will clean up this push, and that has definitely put Dax in a great position. This counterattack could do a lot of damage. The Planetary Fortress is gonna have to be repaired like a beast, but, well, a lot of workers are gonna die here, without doubt.
They are, and Optimus is going to have a hard time to defend this. More tanks and a Thor coming in. This should be enough for the time being to push those roaches back, but needs some more support. There we go.
Planetary's going to fall though, and that gone. Now the lift is forced down, but just to summarize for anyone who's wondering, how did this go from Optimus being so far ahead? Well, it all came down to the fact that Dax just had a great engagement. He used some infested Terrans to soak up the tank damage. He pushed forward into a predominantly Thor army from the Terran, and that was the problem. Mass Roach against pure Thor with only a handful of tanks never goes well, but here comes Dax now with the aggression. He's sniping those tanks off, and once they've fallen, we're going to see Optimus in a major heap of problems.
Yeah, without those tank shells, those roaches don't have to be afraid of clumping up. They can just go in aggressively, kiting forward and sniping whichever they choose. This planetary will not even finish. That's the second command center that has gone down in the space of 2 minutes. There are still some infestors remaining, but look at that roach count, and there is nothing to stop them. There are 3 tanks. I don't think it will be enough. This command center can even go down. He does not have to push into those tanks.
Well, what Dax is doing is exactly right in this sense, because he knows that he killed off the big mech force, and then all you want to do is just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because a Terran player who is unable to build up a sizable mech force is never going to be able to trade cost effectively, and there is the GG. Well played. Dax takes the series